quick and introduce ourselves. Start with Paul.
Paul Mahler, Public Works Superintendent.
Dawn DeSorsi, staff.
Craig Brown, commission member.
Tom Morell, 4th District Alderman, Mayor's Representative of the Partner Act.
Jay Klingfors, staff.
Tom Eklund, commission member.
Shane Blazer, mayor.
Dennis Pollock, Ward 6.
Dean Benneman, commission chair, and Alderman District 2. Oh, council president too, is that whisper? Forgot about that.
Your list.
I didn't know that.
Your accolades.
Yeah, I gotta have one of those long signatures, right? Yeah.
I'll put that in the minutes.
That's okay. So anyway, call the meeting to order. The first item is to approve the minutes from May 8th.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Further discussion? Got a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the minutes from May 8th. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Motion passes. Item 3 is a request by Public Works to dump waste fill from local construction project on the south side of Sledding Hill at Poplar Springs Park. Paul?
Yeah, so I made this request. We have 2 construction projects that are going to happen this fall. And if you were on the commission, would have been 2 years ago, we did the same thing on the north side of the hill. Maybe it's 3 years already, when we constructed First Street North and made the sledding hill longer. Now, this last year, we filled in the ditch that ran between 4th and 5th Street, because that was the deterring factor on us before, was that the ditch was there and we couldn't fill to the south side. So there's a relatively steep slope that exists there right now. It's probably a 3-to-1 slope. In the wintertime, the Parks Department puts a snow fence along that backside so that people don't go the wrong way down the hill. And now that the ditch is filled in, number one, it would help our construction project because we wouldn't have to haul the material all the way to the west side. But then we could also make that slope significantly flatter so that you wouldn't have to worry about people going backwards down the hill, and eliminate some of the safety concern that's there right now.
Could you sled on, I mean, would it be ready for sledding this winter?
Probably.
So you have to top dress it? Do you top dress it
Yeah,
too?
yep. The construction project would probably take place in September, early October. The grass would not be growing yet, obviously, but
it'd be ready,
it'd
like.
yeah, it would be shaped and ready to go. Again, it's not the slope that they're using currently as the sledding hill. It would just be flatter so that if they did accidentally go backwards or whatever, it wouldn't be straight down.
You think we'd still have to fence it off then?
I don't think you need to know.
No. Half the time they take that fence down and go the wrong way anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, the biggest thing is the ditch is filled in now, so it was gonna go straight down and be about 10 feet and hit a 6-foot deep ditch, and that's gone, that's filled in. There's actually it's just filled in, we put a pipe across it, so.
Is this gonna crush a lot of kids' dreams when they can't go down the tough side, or?
No. That's how we go to the side.
To practice for that.
You should create a black diamond side and a green side, you know?
We can do it.
Daniel
Yeah.
had one.
Anything else? Tom?
Yeah, my only, and I don't have a problem with it, the only concern would be is that what we're putting in there as fill would be, isn't something that would be, what do you say, contaminated in any way that anybody, down the road, that's something somebody would come back with.
Yeah, if it was contaminated, it'd have to go to the landfill, so I have no concern about that at all. All it is it's just, we're anticipating that we're gonna possibly hit some marsh dirt up there, that is not suitable to be under the road just with how quality of that road is right now. And so we would simply just haul that out. It doesn't have to support any structure underneath the sledding hill or anything like that, so suitable to be under the road, but it's not like it is anything that you're gonna build a building on top of, obviously, but you're not gonna build one on top of the sledding hill anyways, you know, so. It's just stuff that isn't suitable to be under the road.
So if that's it.
Tom?
The hill did get used. I was surprised, a number of people, I didn't go check who they, that there was different people all the time, but there was, families there. I think just about every day that there was snow, using it.
I mean, when we did it for an alternative for them to not go on the right of way of Highway 54, you know, cause that's where they go a lot right now, is over by Spring Street, by the overpass. They go over by the hospital, by the, Devon's Park, you know, and so it was the only other alternative. I mean, my grandmother lived on First Street up on the curb, and the only alternative we had at that time was to go to Bloody 07, you know, and that's why it's called Bloody 07, right? You know, and so we just made that little knob that was there a little bit better and another alternative, you know, the first time, so.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, to approve the request to move the dump waste. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Motion pass. Moving to item 4, Paul's still on the docket. It's a request by Public Works for permission to put up community banners by the Welcome to Wisconsin Rapids sign by Bowles Creek Boat Landing in Ben Hansen Park.
Yeah, so this is contingent. Originally when we put this request in, we had, the request to update so currently the city has, an aerial community banner policy. You'll see it on A Street currently right now, advertising the Cranberry Blossom Festival for this weekend. And, you know, we put them out on Highway 54, Highway 34, and then Highway 73, which is where all of our Christmas decorations are hung. Some of our infrastructure there is not suitable really to be putting these banners on, plus these areas are pretty much wind tunnels. And so, we put in a request to modify the community banner policy to, instead of putting them aerial, to putting them in certain locations within the city, within the right of way. Well, that Welcome to Wisconsin Rapids sign happens to be constructed on city property, on park property. And so, in talking with Shane, we thought that it would be best to get your guys' blessings as a commission, since it's technically park property, to put the signs there. When we like I said, originally we were gonna go to the Public Works Committee, and then that got pulled off of that agenda, and it's now going to be on the, shoot, I just had it, I lost it. Planning and Zoning Commission. So that won't happen until next month because it had already passed by that time. And so, this would be contingent upon the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission to allow these types of banners. They would not be banners that are erected by anybody else. It would be city staff. They have to come and take out a permit with the city and the engineering department. And then we would simply just place them there. Wouldn't be able to be installed for longer than 3 weeks. It's just simply advertising community events, you know, the Cranberry Blossom Festival, the Farmers Market, the WIA, different WIA events that happen, you know, the state cross country gymnastics. That's really the only people that currently use them. By doing this, it's gonna help. Obviously, some of the locations are over the top of state highways, so it gets pretty tricky to be able to put them up there. Kind of cost prohibitive as well, so we would put some sort of infrastructure in place, whether it be a 3-inch Schedule 40 sleeve that we could simply just stick a 2-inch pole into that sleeve, pull it in, pull it out, you know, put a cap over it so that the lawnmowers can drive right over the top of it, under the cap, put the pole in, put up a banner for a week, take it down, you know, something simple to interfere, make any extra work anybody by any means.
That sounds pretty good. Right, any discussion? Tom?
Yeah, no problem, I don't think, with it, but, we won't run into that, we have, just trying to think how many different events your naming, you know, there's nothing right now, we're gonna run into something, we got 4, 5, 6 banners at a time hanging
It's
out
only
for a
gonna be
period
one
of
banner
time.
at a spot.
That'd be my concern, that becomes,
Yep, it's only one banner at, sorry, I didn't interrupt you.
One at
It's
a
only
time.
one banner at each location at a time. First come, first served.
So it's not over the road there, is it?
No,
Just
there's nothing there.
Flag like next to this, oh.
Yep, there's nothing there. Like I say, currently it's only at,
34 and Wilson.
Highway 34 and Wilson Street,
Mhm.
8th and Griffith.
West Grand Avenue and George Road, 8th and Griffith, and State Highway 54 and, Spring Street.
Yep.
But there's no location to put a banner on West Grand Avenue, so I said, you know, I was just thinking that that would be a good location since there's green space there. There's also not a Welcome to Wisconsin Rapids sign on West Grand Avenue.
So you're only asking for that one location because it's on park property.
Correct. All the other ones will be in the road right away.
I'll make the motion to accept the request.
Second.
Motion by Tom, and a second by Craig, all in favor,
Can
please.
I make a suggestion?
Yep.
That in your motion, you say contingent upon the approval of the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay,
Fine.
did you get that?
I think so.
Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion passed.
I'm not gonna ask for any more.
Item 5,
Thanks, guys.
See ya.
thanks.
Take care.
You too.
Review the current language and consider changing the minimum age to enter the aquatic center. Current language, children under 13 must be accompanied by someone over the age of 16. Dawn?
Yes.
We talked about how this is confusing
We
language.
did, this is very confusing, I'm not sure, what the intent was, but the staff is confused by it, I'm confused by it, and I think the public is confused by it. Because if you read it, it sounds like you have to be, if you're 15, you have to go in with somebody who's over 16.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I would suggest is maybe just saying 12 and up, 13 and up, and forget the someone over the age of 16. Just say if you're 12 or up, you can go in by yourself, or 13. I guess I would look for suggestions from you on what the age is, or what the age should be. I did check with Marshfield.
Yeah, some of these ages
They're a little
just-
young, I would say. Marshfield is 10, Weston is 9, and Stevens Point is 8.
So at 8,
Which-
at Stevens Point, you can go to this place by
You're
yourself
8.
when you're 8.
Yes.
God.
Yes.
That's a first
Yeah,
grader.
so I thought this would be a good
No.
topic to have, the
Yes.
superintendent of schools involved
Yes.
in
Then you
age.
probably
since
wouldn't have an opinion.
You're closer to the age brackets, but that just seemed to me to be
Yeah.
crazy.
It seems young to me also.
It seems to me that just puts, babysitting duties to our lifeguards,
Yeah.
which is, I don't think what they're paid to do.
So I mean, generally, if you're talking, you know, between 12 and 14, you're talking like a older 7th grader / 8th grader, give or take. And there's no question in my mind they should be able to manage themselves in a public pool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think 13 or older, or even 12 or older would probably be appropriate, but 8,
Yeah,
I know I wouldn't let my 8-year-old at a pool by themselves.
No way. Me neither. Some of them say if they're a good swimmer, well, any kid could say, well, I'm a good swimmer, just because they want to get in. So, it doesn't matter to me either way if it's 12 or 13. I guess I was just looking for opinions on that to see. I mean, just want clarification so the staff is comfortable, you know, so they know what ages they can allow
Guess
in by
I think when I
themselves.
was a kid, at 12 and up, you could get a paper out, so.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is now.
Yeah. Right now, there were
I'd go
kids
with
coming
either
in at
one.
14.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think it matters too much.
12 and up would be,
12 and up?
Yeah, I think 12's.
we'll
Okay.
see what happens, I guess. If
Right.
there's problems, come back.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
So we're gonna just get rid of the language then that says to be with somebody over the age of 16 and just say anyone 12 and up.
How about I make a motion that we consider, the minimum age to enter the aquatic park unattended by an adult would be 12 and up, something like that.
That sounds good.
Is there language elsewhere then that says if you're not
It's
of
in our
age so that you're
rules.
accompanied, or?
Yeah, it's in our rules and it's in our, season pass information.
So it's still there?
It's still
This
there. I
doesn't
mean,
eliminate it?
I can fix it on the website and update that.
Maybe do a Facebook post.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can put it up on Facebook.
That makes sense.
I think it'll be a more positive thing by the public. I think they'll like that better.
Mhm.
And I think it's clearer.
Okay, so we had a motion, that was a motion, right?
Correct.
Motion by Shane, do I have a second?
I'll second it. Nobody else wants to.
Okay, so 12 and up, and then included with that be fixing the current language to
Yes.
reflect that in the, let's see. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? Motion passed. Item 6 is an aquatic center update.
Well,
Yeah, we
we can
open
talk a
this.
little bit about
Yeah.
the dry run day maybe,
Yeah.
whatever you wanna go with first. Yeah, we opened on the 6th, but we had a dry run day with the staff and, alderpersons were invited, the commission was invited. I think there were more people there than there were on the actual first day of opening. We had a huge crowd, which was great practice for the staff. The staff is doing really well, they're catching on to the software and the, rotations for the lifeguarding and that kind of thing. The weather has been a little challenging for us, obviously today we had to close at 3 because it was cold. We didn't open yesterday at all because it was cold. Tomorrow is not looking good because it's supposed to be a high of 62 and rain. We did have our first swimming lessons on Saturday morning, and then we had them, this morning we pushed them a little bit later so we could hold them, but we have to cancel the evening ones because it's gonna be too cold for them, so, that's a challenge. And then a couple of our staff members decided that they did not wanna work this summer, so we were kinda scrambling for staff last week, but other than that, I think things went well. It's hectic, the first week is always pretty chaotic. A lot of people are taking advantage of the punch passes and season passes. We've sold like 157 family passes already this year. This was as of the 8th that I printed everything out. 31 senior passes, 19 veteran passes. Like I said, several punch cards. Right at that day it was 45 we had sold already, but I know it's more than that now. Let's see. And day passes, it's been a lot slower than past years, but I think it's because of the cooler weather. I think last year at opening it was pretty cool too, so. I'm
Yeah.
sure Jake's got some updates too.
Just all the, new equipment that we put in there this, late spring has been up and running good with no flaws. A couple of things on staff, we just have to learn how to do different testings and check different things, but everything's running smoothly.
That's for the chlorine process, right?
Yeah, learning process, yep. So we're now using the CO2 and, cal-hypo instead of the sulfuric acid and liquid chlorine, so everything seems to be running good. And then the CO2 truck, when he drives by, he checks, he's got like a little gadget that tells him how much CO2 is in the tank. It tells him right to his truck, so if he needs to stop, he stops. So pretty handy. And then he's got a little like lock box on the outside of the building. He just hooks up his hose to it and fills it and goes. So I'd say by next year we'll definitely see a cost savings on what we're spending on chemicals. Should be good.
Just a comment, we're actually having a 2-year-old birthday party for my granddaughter there, and they live in Oconomowoc, and my daughter, so it was 12, it includes 12, it's for 12, it's under the cabana, it includes what, 2 pizzas I think, or 3 pizzas? 3 pizzas and soft drinks
2 liters of soda.
and 12 passes, so if other more than 12 people wanna use the pool, they have to get a pass, but, just on the side, it was, my relatives and the other grandfather and grandmother were just very impressed at what a good deal it was. It's 3 hours, it was $225 I think, wasn't it?
I think so for the
think it was
You did
3
like a
hours,
banana, yep.
225 for 12 passes and pretty much food for everybody, but pretty much everybody that's involved, you know, in-laws and such, all just marked what a great deal it was. So they're all coming up from Oconomowoc to use the pool, so just thought I'd mention that.
We do have a lot of people that take advantage of the party packages. We had a couple that were supposed to be yesterday, unfortunately, so I contacted them on Saturday to let them know that it was probably gonna be cool and we might not open, and we just have to keep in touch with the weather and let people know what's going on. So they appreciated some heads up, but we did have cancellations for those, but hopefully yours will be a go.
Yep. So, moving on then to Legacy Grant update.
Do you want, cause I'm not sure how much we can say, I guess, do you wanna say?
Well, we know that we're being strongly considered, and that would include a city portion and a district portion to the Mead area. And I think we'll know something for certain. Let's see, it's June now, I'm thinking July. Are we meeting in July?
I thought so,
Okay.
yeah.
Hopefully by July, if nothing else by August, I would think for sure. I'm hoping by August because I'll have a board presentation put together by then for my board to approve it, so. Hopefully we can talk about dollars and cents and get really to the nitty gritty, but it does sound like we'll see something moving forward.
Can you talk about like what the kind of overall kind of plan is?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and in fact, I'll pull it up for you, because in our proposal, and of course, we haven't gone to bid necessarily explicitly, right, and did the full process, which will transpire, but what we're talking about as far as the elementary is concerned, and I can't make this bigger for some reason, on our side, you got a removal of the existing playground and install a large accessible playground area, estimated about $640,000, update kickball area, northeast corner of Mead School Field, install soccer goals and nets, install new basketball court in old small playground space, sidewalk access to the recreational areas, 2 Gaga ball pits, mess around with our fencing to a degree, upgrade security camera and so forth. And then district's cost is gonna be to redo the blacktop that's back there, as well as full-size basketball court would be incorporated into that. And from the city's perspective, there was an accessible swing set by the splash pad, covered outdoor picnic area between the splash pad and pickleball court, small accessible playground by the splash pad, and then a pickleball court in the Mead pool area. Estimated total city cost was $444,000, give or take, 440, 450. And so if you think about that, what it's laid out as, and if we had it up on the screen, it'd be easier to see, but those 2 areas kind of diagonally connect. And the city property and the district property kind of abut to one another in that, I don't even know, directionally speaking, northwest corner, let's call it. And so it's not like our stuff is gonna spill in the city's direction to a significant degree. It's still going to be somewhat located in a similar capacity to where the current existing playground stuff is. There might be some movement to a degree. But the plan that Jake had put together kind of brings, let me see if I can just put this on here and then you can take a look at it. Yeah, you know what, that's probably not gonna do too much for you.
I think an important part of the whole project is this west side creation, that the west side will have, you know, this area where everybody can utilize it and.
That's correct. So the splash pad is in this general vicinity, and it would be in this area that all of this stuff is kind of coming together. So kind of a west side recreational area sort of vibe. And what we anticipate doing is having fencing that is, because we need to worry about control and security during the school day. So installing a gate such that during the school day, Monday through Friday, school hours, that gate would be closed. Then of course, when school's over, or during the summer, that gate would be open. So if you're at the splash pad or you're over there at Mead Park, generally, you could be on the Mead, you know, our school equipment, that kind of thing, or playing basketball, pickleball, kickball, whatever the case may be. So it should be pretty sweet for the west side of the of the city when it's all said and done. Total estimated cost, and we'll get renderings, and I'll bring all of that stuff to you guys too when we see it as far as the district's concerned. Total estimated impact at Mead would be just over $1 million, almost 1.2. City portion, district portion, and then of course, whatever percentage is able to be funded through the legacy request. So, it'd be pretty awesome.
Yeah,
That's
It's
good to
gonna be
hear.
amazing.
thank you.
Yeah, of course. It makes sense.
Sure does. So did you request Legacy to fund the whole thing, or just a portion of it?
Well, so our total request so this was at their request. So what ended up happening is we put in for the Woodside request last year, and that was approved. And I think what that did is got the ball rolling for some of our other staff, like, these are certain things that we should see making upgrades and modifications to. As far as the district's concerned, what's interesting about playground equipment, and this is of course well before my time, most of what we have is fundraised or parent-teacher committee had generated, and very little district dollars were spent on implementing and installing these playgrounds over time. Clearly, we've done maintenance and upkeep, and there's been some things that have been added over time, but generally they're like 20 to 30 years old, depending upon what you're talking about. That's about to the tail end of their usable time frame, right? When you get to 30 years, give or take. And so there was 3 different proposals that were put in. One for Pitch, which is now Early Childhood 4K Center. That makes a ton of sense because what's there is not only outdated, but it's for kids that are not 3 and 4 year olds, right? And so the district moved forward with that and had already expended $246,000 to update that playground structure. But they had put in a request to make some modifications or expand and enhance that a bit. So they did that this year. Grant Elementary out in Kellner also put in a request that incorporated a bunch of different things, and working with RISA out there too because of some partnerships that we could enhance, and Mead. So those 3, am I missing one? No, those are the 3. So those 3 independently of one another put in requests to the Legacy Foundation. And so from those 3 requests, then my phone rang, and Mike Bovey, the executive director, said, would you consider putting together something more comprehensive that might impact and touch multiple areas? So as you recall, this Mead request that went in, we had discussed that around this table briefly, because at the same time there was a city request. And during that he said, and because I said, well, it makes sense to me that we partner with the city in the Mead area for sure. And it doesn't make sense that we bring that in too, and he said it absolutely does. So then I circled back with Jake, and then we put together this, which was submitted, now it would be a couple months ago, 2.5 months maybe, give or take.
March.
And so they're still in the process of identifying and notifying grant recipients, and therefore we're in a holding pattern in terms of what we're able to disclose currently. So that's all I can say. But it does sound like something is going to transpire. So to answer your question directly, did we say, will you pay for the whole thing? The answer to that question is no. Our whole request was for over $4 million. If that's making sense. Because it'll touch every single elementary except Woodside, which has been touched, and Rams. So the other piece of this that's super exciting for the west side, because everybody knows what we got over at Rams, right? Is that that's going to be enhanced significantly too with basketball courts, a play structure, which is minor, but more, we'll call it more of a, what do you call it, like a fitness, fitness sort of thing. Disc golf course that's incorporated into the property over there, and a couple of different things. So frankly, some significant west side enhancements that would be for kids from 2 years old or even younger, all the way to 8th graders. And community members generally.
community
so,
up to
yeah,
seniors,
adults. So
Yeah, I
should be
just
pretty
think
cool.
Having that west side destination, that hasn't been there in a long time.
No, and some updates to the west side would be beneficial.
And
Excellent.
So is that, I'm trying to think of timing though. You can't probably do it this year, right?
No, so
And is it over more than 1 year though? Or is it all happening in a year?
it can be done over multiple years. How they disperse the funds is still not determined.
So they have that flexibility.
Correct. Yeah, because I asked, verified with the Legacy Foundation last week, if they would be averse to a multi-year approach, because the other piece that is kind of the elephant in the room is sometimes when you look for these play structures or some of the other equipment, there might be 10-month lead times or 8-month. Sometimes it's 4 months, so you never know. And then also in terms of getting, these are gonna be technically pretty small jobs. So there'll be, earthwork portions of each of these. What's under these structures typically is very similar to what they put under the turf fields. Road base kind of a thing with drainage and that kind of stuff, so it's not, anything super spectacular, but they're gonna be technically small jobs and many of them. So that's what we just had a conversation today with our construction administrator about what that might look like in terms of going out to bid, and do you bid it as, we're gonna try to knock this all out at the same time, or do you bid it as, we'll do a few things this summer and these few things the following summer kind of a thing. So that's still kind of a question mark. Legacy doesn't care whether it's over a couple-year period or all accomplished in 1 year, but our ability to get contractors and to engage is gonna be what the linchpin is. Our focus, the Legacy is clear on this, is as our construction administrator, is Mead first, that the west side would be addressed first. But you're correct, I would be stunned if we do much of anything this fall. It'll probably be next spring/summer that we really hit it hard.
I think there'll be a big cost savings too if we're doing Mead Park and Mead School at the same time. The freight cost, the insulation cost is all gonna be cheaper because there's working side by side and not.
You're mobilizing all of these entities one time rather than two separate times.
So it'll be a big savings in that.
Yep.
But if there is a city portion, which sounds like there would be, that's gotta go through the budget process anyway, which
Yeah, I think
that
we
won't happen this year.
do some fundraising too, and see if we can do something outside.
I think it's something we can look at this year when we get to,
Absolutely.
when we hear something to
Kinda know what that
see
number
where we're
is.
at.
We should know quite a bit more by August without
Yeah.
question. My hope is that have something polished and ready to present to the board for approval of not only the legacy agreement, but also the comprehensive project timelines, the whole 9 yards, and then what each of our entities' potential costs might be.
Perfect.
Good news.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Exciting.
Moving on to item 8, which is update on the dog park.
So in front of you, you do have a total dog park costs of what we've spent so far. Obviously, the biggest thing that we got out of the way right away was the fencing from American Fence Company. So I think we were budgeted at $130,000 for this project, and we're sitting with $41,000 under what we were expected to be spending.
What else needs to be done, Jake?
So right now, what else needs to be done would be the parking lot, paving of the parking lot.
Oh, that's gonna get paved right away?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
That should be,
I'm not too sure what that's gonna cost. Paul actually would've known that.
Is that like 10, 12 cars, or what, how big is that?
20.
20 cars?
20 cars,
Okay.
yep. Yep.
there's room to grow into another 20, should it need to be, but
We got room
just
for
gonna do
another.
the first
Yep.
half.
That probably won't be 40 grand.
No.
No, 'cause,
No.
I mean, only thing I don't see on here was the grass seed, which was a couple $1,000s for that from Reinders, which we're actually growing grass out there. It's, even without no rain, we've been watering it, so it's coming up and surprisingly, so yeah. Especially how warm it was, last week, so.
Is there a well out there? Oh,
The hydrant, we're just feeding
Oh,
one inch hose out there to, it's called a tractor sprinkler, so
Yeah.
it actually, that's what they use to water.
Crawls
the-
along it.
Yep, crawls along that they use for the football fields and baseball fields. Back in the day, I asked, Ed Allison if they had any, he said he had one, so it's been working okay. So,
Yeah, 'cause it sure hasn't rained much.
no, it hasn't, so, yeah.
I noticed that one day. I went
Yeah.
out to check on it.
Oh, did you?
And it was water.
Yeah, so it's working pretty good. It's working pretty
When's the
good.
parking lot scheduled?
That I don't know, I can.
We're waiting for
refer
the
back to-
asphalt plant to open
Yeah.
up at the county. I was talking to Water and Light, I believe they think next week it's gonna open up.
Mhm.
And so there's a number of projects between Water and Light and road patches and this parking lot to get done. So I would think in the next few weeks that'll get done.
And then you're just waiting for the grass, right?
Pretty much the grass, yeah.
They're coming up with some fundraising ideas, potential, and they'll kind make it self-sustaining, hopefully.
Who's they?
Dawn and Jake.
Yeah, I've been working on it. Small stuff like dog waste stations, asking companies if, donate some money, we'll put a plaque on there saying this dog waste station was donated
Memorials.
by, yep.
Anybody else stepped up, any of the?
Nope.
Not that I've heard, no, no one's.
Any
reached
of
out
who
to
stepped
us.
up, I'm sorry?
Anybody?
I asked if anybody.
Oh,
stepped up.
anybody else.
Yeah, or communities,
A
no.
community group or something, nothing yet. But it's getting there.
Sometimes once you have it, will stem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hoping that eventually a users group will kind of form there of dog park patrons, and they'll come up with maybe fundraising ideas to maybe build a pavilion or something along those lines. I'm hoping, or dog agility equipment that they'll take on.
You think it's very well known? that-
No, I was just gonna say, I don't think anybody stepped up, cause they probably don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I agree, you know, I think once it kinda gets, you know, out there and getting utilized and word spreading. We're waiting even to get an address assigned to it, so then, you know, Google, it'll be, you know, eventually Google it, and so we're waiting on that to be done.
But, next
Then we're
meeting-
gonna build a side on the webpage, and we'll have, and a Facebook page, and we kinda worked on that. We've been, sending out the community media, and they've been doing drone footage, so they've kinda captured the whole process from beginning to end here, and we'll have that out, and they've kinda working on that, which is pretty neat.
Probably next month's meeting, we'll probably have something on, like, what are we gonna name it, stuff like that.
Yeah, we gotta figure out
Yeah.
dog park name.
Looking forward to that.
Sure it'll be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, being so close to, Midstate, turning for the traffic from there, we ought to have some kind of, maybe some kind of signage just
Yeah.
pointing there from Midstate, because
Yeah.
people
Coming
go,
soon.
people will go
Right
by
there.
that street every time they're pulling into Midstate Park.
Yeah.
They can turn either way, turn toward the dog park or turn towards Midstate.
Yep.
Yeah, I think once there's a name, then we can come up with some type of signage and.
Okay.
Yeah, that's about it.
Future home with dog park. Start with if you wanna
Yeah,
do something.
that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, cause people do ask, you know, where it's located.
Do they?
Mhm.
Try to talk about any chance I can get.
Gonna be open though not until next.
We're guessing, I'm saying September of this year.
Oh, so
Is that the-
Think it's
For
gonna
fall.
grow enough in the
Yep.
grass?
Yep.
and it'll stay open during the winter. I mean, it will
Correct,
be.
yeah. So I kind of envision in maybe next couple of years of us putting in almost a asphalt path that goes around the whole thing, so this way we can plow it in the winter and people can still walk out there and take their dogs, so.
Yeah, make it more accessible
More
for
accessible,
wheelchairs
yep.
and strollers, cause we're talking about, cause Jake and I walked that interior, you know, trying to figure out the distance, and then you'll know how many laps you have to do to do a mile.
To do a mile or something.
And you can just let your dogs run while you walk and drink coffee and do whatever.
Would that be run along the fence?
It'd be on the inside of the fence. But
Inside?
yes, yeah.
Outside.
Inside.
Yep, on the inside.
It would be almost genius if you could figure out a way to incorporate one edge of it under the fence. They have to deal with all the weed whacking and all
Oh,
that nonsense
yeah.
on the fence.
I know we've talked about that, you
Yeah.
know, and
Most of it's all bark.
Oh, is it?
Yep.
right now
Yep.
it is.
Right now it is, but,
It will start growing weeds eventually.
yeah.
And when you have fences and weeds, it's such a pain.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, but otherwise you're spraying it with Roundup, and that's a lot of spray.
Why wouldn't you do that path right away? And do the parking lot?
I don't know what it would cost.
Yeah, we kinda
Get
didn't
some
anticipate the
estimates.
cost, and
Yep.
kinda have thought maybe it might be a grant opportunity to put in for the health and wellness of,
Mhm.
you know, walking around the dog path. But we're not sure about the cost.
That's
We
gonna
can
be a pretty long path.
It'd be a long
Yeah.
path, yeah.
figure around 100 maybe.
It'd be easy to get just the length of the fence of the large dog park, so it'd be the 5-foot fence. I forgot what the feet were, but.
Be
it was
worth
like-
finding out
it was
to
over
see
like
what the cost
2,000
would be.
2,000 feet.
I bet you it's in the bill, isn't it? If we really
Might
want
be,
to know.
yeah. That's our long-term thing, we kinda need to have something like that in there.
Especially I think for pushing on a wheelchair or a stroller.
And especially in the winter.
If that would get a lot of use, say in the fall, and snow, and use it, I mean, would we be looking at seeding quite a bit or anything come next spring by chance? I'm just getting at that.
Yeah,
I would
you have
think- I
extra
would
seed,
look
I got
for-
extra seed for top seeding this
For
fall.
overseeding.
Overseeding and then the spring, yeah,
Mhm.
so.
So we wanna come back in spring and be back to how it kinda looks
Right. A mud pit.
originally, you know,
Mhm.
mud pit, yeah.
Right.
Oh. Yeah, 'cause I think.
And then
most
we wait
developers
for
will get
6 months
frustrated.
again for it to grow.
Yep.
Yep.
2,345 feet of 5-foot-high fence.
So
That's what
that'd
you're
be
looking
your,
at.
that'd be your length of your asphalt, just the distance wise, and usually those are 8 feet, I would say, the like path that goes along the river is probably 8 feet wide.
Well, if you took, yeah, that's where you're gonna wanna plow.
Yeah.
If you're
Yep.
gonna plow on it, you wanna go 8
Right.
feet.
Yep.
We'll get some numbers on it, just
For
to see
that
where
reason,
we're
I
at.
wouldn't want it near the fence though. You want a little
True,
spot for a
yeah.
bank. If there was just some way to not have to deal with weeds and fences.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's a lot of fencing we need to deal with.
I mean, we spray a lot of our ball fields, that all fencing, that gets sprayed, but obviously there's not dogs around it, you know.
That's the other thing, yeah.
I think you're okay with Roundup after it dries.
Yeah, after it dries, 30 minutes or an hour, you know.
Yeah, we can get
That's
the
what
numbers.
They tell you about a lot of things though,
True.
too.
We all have this we're able to spray, so that shouldn't be an issue. Just one more thing to do.
Okay, moving on to item 9, update on the prairie dogs.
Yeah, so we're still waiting for the tunnel. I reached out to them last week. They're projecting June 26th that will be delivered here.
Good.
And then we can go forward with everything else with filling it in. K&W, they got the glass all ordered, the base is, ordered. So obviously we wanna put the tunnel in and then all the fill back in before we put, the glass in, 'cause we don't, that's 36 inches of high glass, that is pretty expensive, so. Right now we're just, like I said, just waiting on that tunnel and, they said June 26th it should be arriving.
That's
so.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
today.
That's right around, yeah.
Yeah,
When do the prairie dogs come?
whatever we call.
Or they just
Where
Yep,
they at?
they're on standby. They're in northern Minnesota.
throw them in a truck and bring them
Yep.
down?
Yep.
And you just drop them in there and they make their
We
own
don't have to
tunnels and
capture 'em.
holes?
We don't have to capture them, it'll be a lot cheaper if we had to capture them.
How many are
Did you say
11?
8? Oh.
8?
There was 11 when we started, and there's 44 now.
Yeah.
I think Craig's wondering if the biscuits have been ordered.
We got our monkey biscuits
They're
already?
prolific. They're prolific.
You better have them.
I know, I forgot about those now. Put that in my notes. Craig monkey.
Give one to the Z-Donk too, as long as they're over there.
Treat.
Why would they be called that? Doesn't make any sense.
For this meeting, that's why they named it.
Mhm.
Gonna be talking about monkey biscuits at meetings all
Yeah.
across the country.
Yeah, we're just waiting for the tunnel and, yeah, to backfill it and go from there. So.
Sounds good.
There been a lot of usage as long on the zoo there, has there been quite a few people there?
At the zoo, I believe.
Not this
I mean,
past
I
weekend.
don't know, yeah, no.
I
We
would buy a
did
couple.
our zoo tours, been there twice already.
There was a lot of cars there
Encourage, there was
this
a-
weekend.
Encourage
Yeah.
was last week. There were, 3 or 4 classes that brought like 60 kids
Yeah,
at that
so it
first
gets,
week.
yeah.
Good.
I went there a couple times myself to, not to see who was all there, but just to look at the parks, the zoos, so. Becoming impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So we'll have to again talk about what we're gonna do with the remaining money for the Teskey Fund pretty soon. Trying to get that, at least give us some options, to look into.
Yeah, we should put that on for
Probably.
maybe July or August.
Yeah.
Start discussion.
Yep.
And, okay, moving on to, bills. Craig, do you have those?
I've reviewed the bills. It's quite a big chunk of change this time around with a total of $79,563.65. However, the lion's share of that we already talked about was the American Fence bill for the dog park at $49,547.85. The concrete for the prairie dog exhibit is in here, multiple Winterfield stuff, aquatic center stuff, so it's all pretty general, but the two big ticket items were the concrete at the zoo that we've already discussed, and then the dog park fence, so.
Sounds good. Staff reports.
Oh, is there a second?
Need a motion?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Promotions.
I'll move
I-
to approve them.
Yep.
Second.
Sorry, I missed that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Sorry about that. On to, staff reports.
Let's see, T-ball and pitch-ball start this Wednesday. We have 100 and some kids signed up for T-ball and I think 30, more than 30 I think for pitch. Had the meetings with the staff for those, so they should be all set. We've got a lot of swim classes that have filled up, and our classes started on Saturday. And of course, we had to cancel the ones for this evening because of the cold weather, so starting out strong with that. Summer classes are filling up. We had a new class, Zookeeper for a Day, and that filled up super fast, so might need to add some of those.
Yeah, we should.
Ron will like that.
Ron will love it.
Yes, we did find 2 gymnastics instructors, which we were
Good.
really searching for. They're gonna pair up on some of the classes. One will, kind of assist and get volunteer time, and the other will actually be the main instructor. So they're gonna work together for a while until they're comfortable teaching alone, and then they'll split up to teach. Other than that, everything has been about aquatics and the chaos that goes along with that. And the weather.
So the zookeeper for the day is their kids,
Yeah.
10 and older, they're there for 2 hours, just kind of being right there by the zookeeper, helping getting like food pans ready,
Monkey biscuits.
bottle feeding.
Monkey biscuits.
Yeah, monkey biscuits pretty soon.
Yep.
So just kind of seeing what it is like to actually take care of these critters, on a daily basis, so.
And how many kids we get signed up?
I think we had 10.
We had, I think we just had 7.
7.
7 were what dates we had picked, but we might have to look at
Cause it
expanding
filled
that.
up like within a day.
It filled up within a day.
And are they all coming at the same time?
No.
Nope, it's just like once a
Different.
week, kind
Yep.
of.
It's like one-on-one then, that
Mhm.
one kid
Yeah.
gets to go and do
Yep,
it?
yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they, what is it, $25 charge?
It was 15.
15 or 25 for non-resident maybe?
I have to look for
Nice.
sure, but it's
I'd be
pretty
totally
reasonable.
worth it. In a couple hours, you walk around with the zookeeper and
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, Ron
it'd
loves
be a lot of
it.
fun.
Cool. Yeah.
Is that sarcasm or is it legit? Cause I don't think I've
No,
ever met
that's
the guy.
sarcasm.
Is it?
No.
Not a big
He'll
fan
be
of
fine.
kids?
He just likes, he has a routine.
He's a very routine guy.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he doesn't, if something, yeah, if I call him about a sprinkler head, something broken, he's like, well, I'm in the middle of my lemurs right now, so.
The Z-Dawn.
Yeah, yeah, call back later, so.
Wait till you throw monkey biscuits in the
Yeah,
mix.
I know. Yeah. So, it's just a new program that we thought we'd give it a try on, so.
It's
see
a
how it
great
goes.
idea.
Interesting,
Yeah.
yeah.
Who came up with the idea?
I
did.
did, yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
So,
Huh.
Good one.
yeah.
Yeah.
Put it on your
See where it's
resume.
going. Yeah, put it on my resume.
I get ice fishing this winter then.
Yeah.
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 Cool.
Is that all you had?
That's all.
Okay. Park staff for the month of May, again, kind of getting the aquatic center ready for opening June 6th date. Power washing, pool deck slides, tables, chairs out, which we had Assumption come, like I said before, helping us with that. Landscaping areas downtown, getting ready for the Cranberry Blossom Fest. Just continuing our grass cutting in the parks, right-of-ways, routes. The maintenance at the zoo, getting that ready to be open. Still continuing our tree maintenance throughout the city, watering, trimming, and we've already planted 19 trees this spring. Right-of-ways along the expressways and then various parks. We did a couple weeks or a couple days of spraying weeds throughout the city and the parks. And then all of our preventive maintenance on our city-owned buildings, and then we had 2 seasonal staffs start for us at the parks down at the garage. Typically, we have 5, we're down to 2 this year, cause pretty much no one applies those jobs anymore. Street department, same thing, they're down in numbers too, so they roughly have 7 each year, I think they have 3 this year, so. That's kinda gonna be a bit of a struggle, but we'll adapt to it and.
What do those pay again?
Start off at 13
Okay,
And then
so
each year they come back, they get 50-cent raise.
Not terrible.
No.
It's Monday through Friday, 7 to 3.
7 to 3, just,
A good gig, I think.
yeah.
I got a couple open days.
Alright, you're hired.
What's,
If you need a boss.
how are things gone at the skate park?
So far, it's been quiet. So.
We talked about at some point, I think the minutes actually said at the next meeting,
We
something
did
I
say
think
at the
we
next
meant.
Yeah,
meeting.
I've been talking with, touch with Sue about it, she just had bigger things on her plate right now, but, I'll recap with her this week about where we're at with changing the policies. and
We'll see
ordinances.
something yet this summer.
Yeah.
I know IT has been working or figure out a way to, cause there wasn't like a modem for getting the access to the cameras. And that's, so I think that's.
For the squad cars we talking?
Squad
Yeah.
cars, yep, and
Yeah.
cell phones.
And they've been debating, cause they're kinda concerned of having them all go to squad cars, but all the screens in the PD, there's a couple of screens. And I think they're talking about having it piped in there, and then somebody can relay the information to
So we only
the
deal with
approach.
them at one point.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then the approaching squads will get radioed information, they'll be able to watch on the screens in the police department. But yeah, I think that was just finished here, that to be able to send it out.
Yep, last week, I think.
Was it last week?
I think so, yeah.
Maybe Chief Austin's has some bright ideas.
Yeah, cause I'm sure he probably came with some ideas too, maybe, or maybe dealt with something similar.
Yep.
But yeah, so I know things are pushing ahead.
Yep.
Good.
I just like the fact we're just not gonna close it down, just to close it down, you know, as a punitive. I think that's good.
Was nothing
Somewhere
lately.
else.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've seen people using it, kids
Yeah.
using it.
yeah,
we'll still use that.
yeah, it's been good,
Yeah.
every day I drive by there, people are using it, which is
Yeah.
good.
I think we had a toilet paper dispenser break, but obviously we don't know if that was skate park related or not, but, you know, hundreds of people that walk through there, so how do you pinpoint which kid did it at what time, so.
Yeah, it's minor compared to the other things.
Yep.
That's normal
Kind of the
maintenance.
cost of doing business.
Yep, yep.
It's unfortunate, I mean, it should never happen, but.
Correct.
Anything else on staff reports?
No, that's all I had.
Great. Next item is 12,
I'll move we adjourn.
adjournment.
No,
Second,
Right.
oh, let Shane do it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
See you next month.